The Start Your Own Business podcast. Hear inspiring startup stories and get reliable expert advice on how to start your business and get off to the best possible start. Brought to you by Startup Donut, helping small businesses succeed.
Hi, you're listening to the Start Your Own Business podcast. My name's Fiona Pryor and I'm your host. In this episode, I'll be seeking top tips on how to generate sales leads when you run your own small business. If you don't make enough sales, pretty soon you won't have a business. It really is that simple. But sales don't just drop into your lap. You have to work hard for them. And that means you need to be continually generating enough sales leads. So if you're a new business or a small business with little or no budget and limited experience, how can you generate sales leads? Which methods are most commonly used, and whether you're doing it online or offline, how do you get it right? Sharing her insight in this episode is Charlie Day, sales expert and author of best-selling business book, Sales is Easy If You Know How. Charlie's also the founder of a free Facebook community of the same name, which now has more than 10,000 members. She also has her own podcast. But before we meet Charlie, a brief message from our episode sponsor.
Ready to grow the heck out of your email list? Interact Quizmaker is the easiest way to capture emails and grow your list while providing a fun piece of value for your audience. Interact quizzes convert website visitors to subscribers at an average rate of 40%. That's 4 new subscribers for every 10 visitors. Not only are quizzes the highest converting lead magnet, they're also the most effective. A quiz allows you to learn about your audience, their interests, and what they care about the most. Connect your quiz with your email system, and you can send tailored emails and workflows packed with the value your new lead wants. Need help creating your quiz? Try Interact AI for free, and we can create your quiz in a matter of minutes. Get started for free at get.tryinteract.com/donut. That's get.tryinteract.com/donut, spelt DONUT.
It's time to meet our expert, Charlie Day, sales expert and author of the best-selling business book, Sales is Easy If You Know How. Hi there, Charlie. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
If you don't mind, I thought we'd start by finding out a bit more about you, and if you could tell us what you've been up to, what your background is, and a little bit more about your sort of experience for our listeners.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Charlie Day. I am a sales expert, but that wasn't always the case. I started my first business when I was 21. I'm now 35, so I've been in business a long time. I've built 3 multi-6-figure businesses from the ground up. And then in 2020, I started Charlie Day Sales, which turns over 7 figures. And I now run a sales agency and help other people show them just how easy it can be to make sales in your business. But when I started off, when I was 21, I ran a theatre school. That was the first business I set up. And I remember researching how many children were in that area, and I thought, oh my gosh, the potential here is absolutely massive. But of course, when I got around to doing my sales and marketing, I found out just how hard it was. Yeah. So I launched my theatre school with 7 children. I was losing money on a weekly basis. Took 18 months to get it to a state of profitability, and I committed myself really early to getting good at sales, because I was like, there's no way that I'm folding this business, because I'd be way too embarrassed to admit that everyone was right and that running a business is really hard. So I was just like, I'm going to get really good at sales. I recognized really early that was the thing that I needed to get good at. So I ran a theatre school, still exists today. I set up a party business, which I ran as an agency. Then I ran a business called Phonics with Robot Reg, which we franchised. And there's 54 franchises across the world. And then my 4th business was Charlie Day Sales.
So today we're here obviously to talk about sales and in particular sales leads. So for someone who's new to running a business, what do we mean by a sales lead?
So we need to be getting people into the top of our funnel at all times. We need to be looking out for people who are the right demographic. our ideal client. Now, the way I get really bored when people start talking about ideal clients. So the way that I explain it to people is it's the middle of a dartboard.
Yeah.
So the dart is your marketing, and you're aiming that dart. Obviously, I'm terrible at darts, but it's a good analogy, so stick with me. You're aiming that dart at the center, at the bullseye. That is your ideal client. Now, if your dart ends up somewhere else and somebody outside of the ideal client wants to buy from you, that's fine. But in terms of putting our marketing out, we're aiming it to that ideal client. So we want to be bringing as many leads that are that ideal client or around that ideal client into the top of our funnel, engaging those leads, getting conversations going, so that we can turn those into sales. But the step one is just getting the leads.
So we talk in sales about qualified leads and unqualified leads. What's the difference?
So I always say to my clients to have a hot leads list and a warm leads list. So if, for example, at the end of this conversation, you were like, wow, you really do know your stuff about sales. Actually, I could really do with your help. I really struggled, and then maybe I might ask you a few questions about that is a qualified lead. We've already had a conversation. I know a little bit about your problem and where you're at. So I'm in a much better position to sell to you than, let's say, in a Facebook group, I put out a question saying, who struggles with sales and marketing? I do this quite a lot, my lead finder. Who struggles? What do you struggle most with, sales or marketing? And people comment, oh, I hate sales. Oh, I hate marketing. Oh, I'm terrible at them both. They are all leads for me. Yeah. But those leads are nowhere near as qualified as you, who I've had a conversation with and really got to know and understood the problems. So I always encourage everybody to think about the leads that they have got and categorize them. Is it a hot lead? Is it a warm lead? Or is it just a tepid lead?
Yeah. And obviously not all leads will result in a sale. And I suppose that's part of the reason why small businesses need to be constantly generating sales leads so that they can achieve the sales to bring enough money in to keep a roof over their head. So is there a kind of ideal number of leads that a business is going to need to generate in order to, keep that funnel topped up?
So what we want to be doing as business owners at all times is keeping an eye on our conversion rates. So, for example, if I knew that 100 leads into the top of the funnel so if I go and have 100 conversations, get 100 leads into the top of my funnel, then out of those 100 leads, 10 people are likely to get on a discovery call with me. So that's how I sell to people. I get on calls and I sell to them on that. So 100 leads, 10 calls, 1 sale. Let's imagine that was my conversion rate. As soon as I know that, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, that doesn't sound like a lot at all. You're only getting 1 sale out of every 100 leads. But just by knowing that, we can start reverse engineering the process. Well, I need 10 sales this month. So I need to be getting on 100 calls. So I need 1,000 leads in the top of my funnel. How do we do that? What sales activity or marketing activity do we need to be doing to get those leads in, to book the calls, to make the sales?
Yeah.
And so, people throw this thing, sales is a numbers game. You've heard people say that, right? Sales is a numbers game. And people argue, well, actually, it's not a numbers game because the more qualified the leads, the better you'll convert. Absolutely. That's absolutely true. But there is no denying that sales is a numbers game. Yeah. And once you know that conversion, you can get to a place where you're in control of the sales in your business and you're just reverse engineering every single month. This is how many sales that I want. This is how many conversations I need to have. This is how many leads I need. And this is the marketing activity I need to do to bring in that amount of leads. And so every month I encourage my clients to set themselves sales targets. How much do you want to make this month? How many sales do you need to make? Okay, brilliant. Let's reverse engineer that so that we are in control of the sales in our business. We're not just hoping on a wish and a prayer that sales magically come in, but we're in control of it. We know the exact process and the activity that we need to do to make those sales.
Yeah. So is there a typical conversion rate that a small business should be looking to achieve?
So I work in the online business space, and the average conversion rate is like 3%. I convert a lot higher than that. My average conversion is about 12%. So if you're like, I have no idea, then start at 3%.
Yeah.
It's very low. And if you were one of my clients, I'd want to be driving that conversion up a lot higher. And, you're absolutely right, by qualifying the leads off a lot better. That's how we're going to be able to do that, but also by getting really good at sales as well. But I really encourage you to know your own conversion rate. So if you're just starting, just pull the conversion rate out of thin air, start low, 3%. But really, over the next 30 days, write everything down, all the conversations you're having, all the leads that are coming in, and start figuring out your own conversion rate. I give all of my clients a follow-up spreadsheet, and you put every single lead in that follow-up spreadsheet. You monitor where that lead has come from, and it works out your conversion for you, so that you can start doing that. It only takes 30 days to start getting on top of your conversion rates.
Yeah. So tip number 1 is know your numbers, know what's coming through and what's flipping over and what isn't.
Absolutely, yeah.
So for the ones that aren't, converting, if you've got a lower conversion rate than that, for the sake of argument, what could be going wrong?
It could be your process, that your process isn't right. This is why I love doing discovery calls, because you can really get to know a person, know what their problems and their stumbling blocks are, which makes it a lot easier to make the sale. Some people say, I don't want to get on sales calls. I want to sell in the DMs, for example, or I just want people to click to buy from my website. Fair enough. I understand. That's fine. Your conversion's probably going to be lower if you're going to do that. It might be more time consuming, but I am passionate about people creating a sales strategy that works for them and their business. People can get really icky about sales. They can get a bit funny about it. And it's really important for me that my clients love their sales strategy and that they want to do it.
Yeah.
So I really work to create something that works for you. But ultimately, those conversations are going to have an impact on whether the sale comes over or not. So I've got a 95% conversion rate on my sales calls, whereas our DM conversations, we operate at more like a 45% conversion. So you can see really clearly why I'm like driving those sales calls. And I run an agency now, and all of my sales associates exactly the same. We monitor everything, and the biggest conversion happens when they have those calls. Now, people are savvy. In 2024, our customers are savvier than ever. So not everybody's going to jump at getting on a sales call with you. So the first sell for me has to be the call. Yeah. I'm selling the call because I know my conversion rate's 95%. I am convincing people of the reasons that they should get on the call. Yeah. Because time is people's number one commodity, even more than money in the case of my clients. So actually saying, can you give me 20 minutes, half an hour of your time on a call? Often they don't want to. They know they're going to be sold to. And so really think about how you're positioning that call. We'll often say, we're going to do a sales audit and we want to feed it back on that call. So they're coming to the call and we're actually giving them value. Or, if they are a hot lead and they know that it's a sales call, I'll say to them, we want to find out if you're the right client for us, as well as you finding out if I'm the right person for you. It's a two-way thing. I'm not going to be selling to you if you're not right.
Yeah. So you talked earlier about your target customer and focusing, laser focus on reaching those. And part of that, I suppose, is about knowing where those people are and how you can be visible in that space, whether that's on the high street or whether it's online. And so as a result of that, some methods will work better for some businesses than others. Is a mixture of sales tactics, likely to be a solution for most businesses?
Yes, 100%. Everybody needs to have a presence on social media. And when I say everyone needs to have a presence on social media, I don't mean you have to be on all of the platforms. You need to be on at least 2 platforms, but the platforms where your ideal clients are most likely to hang out.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to have a social media presence because we use social media as a search engine now. So rather than going into Google, people will look your business up on Instagram. They'll look it up on Facebook. They'll see what your presence is like there. So I really believe it doesn't matter what your business is, you absolutely need to have a presence on social media. But social media alone is not enough. You need to be having an email list and nurturing an email list, because they belong to you. Those emails belong to you. Your social media following doesn't belong to you. That belongs to Mark Zuckerberg or whoever, Elon Musk, whereas your email list belongs to you. So that is another really important thing. But then you're absolutely right. We can't discount that there's other things going on. You know, when I started my theatre school, I did flyers through the door, and I used to do mail mergers, you know, bulky mail through the post. Now, back in 2011, when I started out, everybody was doing bulky mail. So you had to really stand out. I remember I was selling drama workshops into schools, and I used to type a letter, and then I would screw it up into a ball. So it felt like bulky mail, because I didn't have a lot of budget for it. And the title of it was like, "We won't screw up the drama in your school." And it did so well. I used to send it out and then do a phone call. Now, everybody was doing that, so you had to stand out from the crowd, but nobody is doing it now. Like, imagine if you got a handwritten piece of post through your door.
Yeah.
It would definitely get your attention a lot more than, you know, a cold DM or, you know, your 5th email of the day or whatever. But people, I believe we've become lazy. We've become lazy because social media has allowed us to, you know, you can build a business from your sofa, which is amazing. But I'll tell you what irritates me is when people say to me, "Oh, I find social media really draining." I just don't. Do you know what? 2011, I was up and down the streets with my wooden spoon, because I don't like dogs, pushing flyers through people's post boxes.
Yeah.
You tell me that putting a post on Instagram every night is draining.
Yeah.
You need to get out and walk the streets.
Times have changed.
My point is, some of that guerrilla marketing that I used to do, I still do things like that. I still get, go to networking events, have those face-to-face conversations, because so many people have become reliant on social media. But I like to have a full 360 marketing plan that doesn't just rely on one thing.
Yeah. And I suppose much will depend on who your target market is. You know, if you're selling products that are designed for, you know, a more mature section of the population, they're not necessarily going to be on social media. You know, if your businesses are, you know, your target customers are local people who want a plumber or who, you know, are looking for a service, actually it's likely that a different tactic's going to be more appropriate for you. Like you say, putting a flyer through the door with your plumbing services is more likely to reach the people at the right time than shouting on social media and trying to compete with everyone else who's online. So
yeah, like I say, I think everyone should be on social media. I think, you know, the majority of the world is on social media.
Yeah.
Find those platforms that are relevant, have a presence, but don't rely on social media wholly.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone who's got no sales experience about how they can go about generating their leads?
I would say just give everything a try and test and measure everything. Whenever I'm having a call with somebody, I always ask them, "Where did you find out about me?" Because I want to know where my marketing efforts are working, so that I know what I should be doing more of. If you don't know where your leads are coming from, then how on earth are you supposed to find more of them? So everybody who comes through, ask for, if you can trace them back. Do that, but you've got to have an ear to the ground as to what is working. But you can start getting more leads today by being more active on Instagram and Facebook, whatever your social media platforms are, starting your email list, emailing your email list, having conversations with people. You know, if you're a plumber and you're in a locality, go into those Facebook groups and start chatting to people. When we ran the theatre school and the party business, we used to give people advice and be a part of that community group, so that people got to know, like, and trust us. I think when you start out, you need to be doing more than you realise. And I say to people, put out your offer today in 6 different places. And if you do that for 7 days straight and you look at who's commenting, who's interested, who's watching your Instagram stories, start having conversations with them. Because actually you can understand why people don't want to get on a call with you, why people aren't interested, who they're using, who are your competitors. You're going to learn a lot about the market as well.
Yeah, there's an interesting point you made there, I suppose. And I think there's a misconception with social media that actually it's just about, posting responses or posting about this has happened. But actually, for most businesses, the most successful ways of doing it is doing it in a multitude of ways. It's about blogs, it's about sharing videos, it's about images of your products or reviews from happy customers on, things like Trustpilot. And that's all part and parcel of building a kind of trusted social media presence that people go to. And particularly things like advice. Actually, like you say, we use now Facebook groups, we use the internet all the time to find answers to questions. So it's about coming up with a plan of different kinds of activity online, isn't it, with your social media?
Absolutely. And, the clue's in the name, social media. People go on there to be social.
Yeah.
They don't go on there to be sold to. It's not selling media.
Yeah.
It hasn't been set up for you to sell your product or service. It's a bonus that if you can use social media in the right way, that you will be able to sell more of your product and service, but that's not what it's set up for. So people want to see behind the scenes. People want to hear value, education. They want to know about you and your business and your life outside the business and your family and what makes you tick and what's funny. And you've got to do more than just posting about your business. So I do one post in every 5 is a sales post, but I'm really creative with my sales posts. I want to hook the audience in, get people's attention, do things differently. Everybody does everything the same. Sheila down the road's got a cake business as well and she's doing this, so I'm going to do it. Well, rather than thinking, what are all the other cake businesses doing? What I like to think is, what aren't they doing?
Yeah.
What haven't they tried yet? And how can I stand out from the crowd by doing that?
Yeah. So on the flip side of that, there obviously is paid advertising on social media. Is that useful for small businesses? Should that be something that small businesses are considering?
Really depends. If your product e-commerce, then my tendency is to say yes. But what my general overall advice is make sure that your organic marketing is working first.
Yeah.
Because if you put paid spend behind a rubbish advert, you're not going to get great results. Whereas if you have curated adverts that work with your own organic audience that you've got a lead magnet maybe that everybody downloads and everyone raves about, then that is worth putting paid spend behind. So my advice to everybody is, there's so much you can do organically.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when small businesses start out, they have more time than they have money. So if that's the situation, spend your time doing your organic marketing. And when it works, and when the seesaw goes the other way and you've got more time than money, start putting that money behind, more money than time, start putting that money behind paid ads so that you can multiply what's already working.
Yeah. Just talking about Facebook groups, obviously you've got a Facebook group, the donut sites have got a Facebook group, and we've got a really nice community of active members where they help each other out. And that's great. You can talk to them, you put polls and quizzes and they can give you feedback. But there are downsides sometimes to Facebook groups. A lot of groups don't like being sold to, for example. So what advice do you have on that for anyone who's joining a Facebook group with the long-term intention of that being a way of driving sales?
Yeah, funny. I was waiting for what the downside was to a Facebook group, because I don't really see any downsides to a Facebook group. I think Facebook groups are brilliant. My advice is to find 5 Facebook groups and become a part of that Facebook group, become part of the community, comment on people's posts, help people out, give people suggestions, ideas. When you need help, ask for help. And then, it's like I said, my lead finder, I say, what do you struggle with most, sales or marketing? Now, that's not a sales post, but it gets so much engagement because people have got something to say about it. If I was to say, I've got a free, or not even I've got a free course, I've got a course that's $4.99, who wants to buy it? Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to buy it because I haven't engaged the leads yet.
Yeah.
But actually, by engaging the leads, having conversations, often what happens is they say, oh my gosh, where can I find out more about this? Oh, well,
Yeah.
actually, here's the link to my Super Simple Sales. It's the perfect place to get started. So don't go into Facebook groups to try and sell, because if you do, it won't work.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to read your sales posts. I'm sorry, but they don't.
Yeah. And I think a key lesson that we've learned as, being managers of our own group is that actually it's about being clear what the purpose of your group is, and managing who's coming in and managing what, have clear rules for the group as well, so that everyone's kind of in a safe space.
Yeah, totally. And I always say to everybody, like, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
Whenever I post anything, do anything, what is in it for the person reading this? Because if someone's going to give me their time to watch a reel, to listen to a podcast, time is a precious commodity. So I want to make sure that they're walking away from that, even if it's just a 30-second post that they're reading, having gained something, not just felt like, oh, I've just wasted my time reading about how amazing your business is. People care about themselves, not about you and your business.
Yeah.
So, for example, with our agency, my agency is called Sales Made, the agency, and we've got our own Instagram for that. And on a Monday, we do this thing called Make Money Monday, and we will share anybody's products or services that they're selling just on a Monday.
Yeah.
And then we pick one of them, and that one person gets to showcase their product or service in my big Facebook group. It's got over 10,000 people in there. That's the prize. And, people message me, oh, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. It's so kind of you. The leads engage in that because there's something massive in it for them. And it also means I can reach out and say, hey, do you want to join in with this? We do it on a Monday. Oh, thank you so much for thinking of me, Charlie. That's so kind. So just always thinking what is in it for them.
Yeah. Just rewinding back slightly to email marketing and the value of having your own list. What's the key to a successful campaign in your experience when you're doing email marketing?
So I have got a range of different lead magnets, and I also showcase certain things that will be my lead magnet just for a month. So, for example, my Super Simple Sales course that I keep talking about, back in December for Black Friday, we put it on completely free of charge for the 3 weeks leading up to Christmas, from Black Friday to Christmas. And this course is £499 usually, but I made it free. And my email list just went mental because everyone was like, I can't believe you're doing this. And they were sharing. And even people who had bought it would say, oh my gosh, I bought this course. I got so much from it. I got my return on investment. And now Charlie's giving it away for free. Like, run, don't walk.
Yeah.
Because it's worth something. The same with my follow-up spreadsheet. I've showcased that before. I have my 50 ways to get more leads, which I'll send on to you so that people can have a look. So it's a list of 50 marketing ideas for you to go where you can literally work your way down it and see which ones work for your business, which ones work more effectively than others. But make sure that what you're giving away to get people on your email list is valuable, is worth something. You see all these checklists and you think, I actually don't need that. I don't want that clogging up my email, So really think about, what do you download? Why do you download it? And what do your customers really want? And then once they're on your email list, you want to be nurturing them. So having those trigger emails go off for, say, the first 5 days that they're in your inbox. And generally I advise selling on email 4 and 5, or introducing your product or services on email 4 and 5, then putting them on your email list, and then keeping in touch with that email list at least twice a week.
Yeah. Okay, moving away from the kind of online and kind of electronic world, there's obviously kind of traditional sales tactics, the flyers, the posters, which we've talked about briefly. These still work really well for some businesses, don't they?
Yeah, they absolutely do. And like you say, if you're a local business, go and get 250 flyers printed and put them up on posters, put them in the local cafes, put them through people's doors. But we are online business. Everything I do is online. I don't really do any face-to-face services, but we still have our sales agency brochure printed. And, I'm at an event tomorrow, I'm at an event next week, and we take those brochures with us, have conversations, and then we've got something that people can look at. My advice is that you always get something from them in return. Oh,
Yep.
give me a follow on Instagram. Let me follow you now. Let's connect online. Because if you're just giving them something, then they're just, they might throw that away. They might forget about it, whatever. But actually, you want to be engaging that lead. But I think that we should all have printed materials. I've got banners that I take to events, flyers, posters, all of that sort of stuff, even stickers I sometimes will stick on people once we've had conversations. I think it's a good idea. Like I've said, good idea to do a range of different things.
To have a mix of approaches.
Absolutely.
So another thing that's kind of not a tangible physical thing is word of mouth. And that can be really valuable and free. If you can get a customer who's happy with what you've done to recommend to someone else, you haven't had to do that work and it's a lead. Should all businesses be trying to encourage word of mouth recommendations?
Yeah, absolutely. And, people are generally kind. So if you ask people, I know like my nail lady said to me one week, would you write me a Google review?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh gosh, of course I will. Nobody knows more than me how important it is to support small businesses, and I always will. But I wouldn't necessarily have that thought myself.
Yeah.
Even though I'm the biggest supporter of small businesses, I wouldn't have thought, oh, I must put a Google review on for my nail lady.
Yeah.
But as soon as she asked me, I did it there and then. Of course I will.
Yeah.
You need to ask the question. It's the same with testimonials. I ask for testimonials. If I want a video testimonial, I will video and ask. If it's a written testimonial, I'll give them like a rough guide or examples, because sometimes it's hard for people to just write. Like, I can't think of what to say off the top of my head. And I'm asking for referrals all the time, thanking people for any referrals that I get. But also, I find word of mouth goes hand in hand with your messaging.
Yeah.
Because if the messaging is really, really clear, people know that I'm the sales expert. So when something comes up on social media and it's like, I'm looking for help with my sales, who would be able to help me? People will tag me because my messaging is really, really clear.
Yeah.
Then I always go into those tags, thank them for sharing me. And also I am always up for referring anybody who refers me. It's a two-way street. If you recommend me, I'll recommend you. And I will always recommend people who I've had great service from, got great results from. I'm very protective over my audience, so I will only recommend things that I know firsthand are absolutely amazing. So if someone comes to me and they want me to be an affiliate or they want me to share stuff with my audience, I will demand, that sounds a bit harsh, but you know what I mean?
Yes.
I'll ask that I consume that first before recommending it. And I think everyone should do that.
Yeah. And I think that, we increasingly, put value on personal recommendations over ones that are on. There's some distrust, I think, to some extent, of things where you see it online. It's like, well, have they been paid for doing that, or why have they done it? So actually, a mouth to mouth, no, you need to speak to Charlie about that because she knows her onions. People are much more likely to go, brilliant, I'll give me her details, I'll call her up, I'll pop a DM in her inbox. So yeah, definitely. What about things like entering awards? We see quite a lot of times recommendations, enter this, it'll be great PR for your business, and things like networking events and sponsorship. What's your feeling on those? Are they useful for small businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about positioning, PR, even doing podcasts, entering awards, speaking at events, speaking at networking events, securing stages. They're all going to perceive you to be the expert that you absolutely are as well. And that's really important. What I would say on all of these things is do your due diligence, go out and research. If it's costing you thousands to enter the award, is it the best use of that marketing budget? If it's costing you thousands to sponsor something, is it the best use of your marketing budget? If you're paying £2,000 to sponsor something, there's 1,000 people in the room and they are all your ideal client, and you get some stage time, it might be a really good use of your marketing budget.
Yeah.
But you need to weigh that up.
Yeah, and I think an important point is it's not just about how much it costs you in terms of monetary value, it's about the time as well. When you're a small business and you're juggling lots of plates, you've got to make sure you've submitted your VAT return, or you've got to renegotiate the lease on the shop. Actually, is it worth your time spending 15 hours filling in a form to enter an award that you might not win in the first place? So
I mean, I'm speaking at an event tomorrow, and I think there's maybe 250 people going to be there. But I will they're all my ideal client, and I will make sure when I'm on stage, I'm engaging those leads. So I'm asking them to take a picture of me and tag me on social media. I'm giving them really great value. I'm asking them to send me a message if they want to find out more information or they want my lead magnet, so that I'm engaging the lead, and then I'll be in the room for the rest of the day having conversations. And then the day after, I've got the whole day free to go and follow up with them, book calls, do all the things. So you've got to, it's not just getting in the room, getting the stage, it's having a strategy around that as well.
Yeah. That's fantastic. We've covered loads of ground though. It feels like we've gone at 100 miles an hour. If you had to boil the last half an hour down into 3 top tips for someone who's looking to generate sales leads for their small business, what would they be, Charlie?
Do lead generating activities every single day. Know that you can absolutely do this. You are the right person to sell the products or service in your business. You're passionate about it, and you are so capable of being fully booked, and being fully booked in a short amount of time as well if you do the right activity.
Yeah.
And the third piece of advice is just don't be scared. People are going to say no. You're going to get knockbacks, you're going to get turned away. You've got to build the resilience to hear a no and go again. Even if you hear 10 no's in a row, you go again.
Yeah, and that's a tip that comes up time and time again in our our conversations, is about that being resilient, being dogged, having faith in yourself, and going again when you get a knockback. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Before I let you go, can you just tell our listeners where they can find you online, where they can connect with you, and where they can get copies of your book or find access to your courses?
Absolutely. So you can follow me. I'm Charlie Day Sales on Instagram, on TikTok. You can find me on LinkedIn. I am also run the Facebook group Sales is Easy If You Just Know How, which is also the name of my podcast. And my website is charliedaysales.co.uk. But if you've enjoyed this podcast, I would love for you to send me a message. Tell me about the sales in your business. I'll love to give you a follow. I'd love to share you on my Make Money Mondays. So come chat with me. I absolutely love chatting to small business owners. It's what I do all day, every day. So yeah, come and connect.
That's fantastic. What we'll do is we'll pop all of those in the summary notes that will accompany this episode, so people can click on that and follow you, and that would be lovely. Once again, thank you for your time. I've really enjoyed our chat. That's been brilliant. Thanks so much, Charlie.
Me too. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye. What a great guest. Charlie's packed a lot in there, and she's given us a whistle-stop tour of how you can create sales leads for your small business. It's also abundantly clear that Charlie's a passionate supporter of small businesses. So if you want to get in touch with Charlie, you can join her Facebook group, the Entrepreneurs Growth Club. You could also listen and subscribe to her podcast, which has the same name. And in case you didn't catch it, Charlie's book is called Sales is Easy If You Know How. We'll add links to all of these in the summary notes, which you'll find at www.startyourownbusinesspodcast.co.uk. If you're enjoying the Start Your Own Business podcast, please spread the word so we can reach even more business owners. Finally, another big thank you to Charlie for her time and insights. Until next time, all the best.